Welcome to the Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies after the credits roll. My name's Jesse.
My name is Max.
And my name's Logan.
And today we will find out how it feels to be God as we assemble our podcast from the dead remains of others as we dive into Guillermo del Toro's take on the classic novel, Frankenstein.
Yay.
So, as always, let's begin by discussing how we found out about this movie. How do you find out about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein?
I saw the trailer.
Wow.
Whoa.
Logan's been on a streak of
Yeah, he's been on a streak. He watched the trailer.
Yeah.
It's on a hot streak.
When did you see the trailer? Was it recently or like?
Probably recently. It was on YouTube. It just came up as an ad.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't have premium.
Me neither.
Okay, I guess I'm the only one that has premium in this podcast.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, premium shaming over here.
Yeah, I can't believe this.
I learned about Frankenstein when doing research for our most anticipated, which is kind of a theme. I found out about it, heard it was coming out this year. It's been in the works since 2007, so there have been a lot of different times when it was supposed to come out. But I felt like this year was the year, and this year was the year because it's out and we're talking about it. Guillermo del Toro, again, has been talking about making this movie since 2007. It entered development in 2008, but then the WGA strikes kind of cut it off.
Yeah.
It's based on Frank Darabont's screenplay for Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro has been noted saying that the script that Frank Darabont wrote that was apparently very, very good was not the one that was filmed into the movie.
Yeah. Because I found out about this movie when, it was finally moving forward. And they were doing casting announcements saying, we have Andrew Garfield as the monster, which ended up being recast as Jacob Elordi because of scheduling conflicts, and then Oscar Isaac and Mia Goth being cast alongside Christoph Waltz. That's kind of when I found out that this movie was going to happen. I didn't put it on my most anticipated of the year just because I didn't know if it was coming out this year. At the time, it didn't have a release date on Netflix. But it was one that, since it was finally going into production, that's when I first heard about it.
Yeah, one thing you might learn about me from my previous most anticipated and the one that's coming up, that's not really a consideration for me. If I think it's coming out next year, I'm going to put it on that list. So, yeah, I think there have been a lot of adaptations of Frankenstein in the past. The most iconic is almost definitely Boris Karloff and James Whale's 1931 Frankenstein. It's so iconic to the point that it feels like every adaptation since is either imitating it or commenting upon it in some way, almost subverting it. And so when I heard that this was going to be a more accurate rendition of the book, I was really interested in it. Do we have any other thoughts before we jump into this?
No.
All right. The movie starts with the boat. There's a boat in the original. Captain Robert Walton is sailing to the North Pole. In this movie, he's renamed to Captain Anderson and played by Lars Mikkelsen. I believe he's related to Mads.
Yeah, they're siblings.
Yeah. So he's kind of stuck on the ice, and they're mining the ice to try to get free of it and go back up to the North Pole. The crew is in open revolt. It's kind of a miracle they haven't mutinied just yet. And then they find a man with a prosthetic leg kind of washed up on shore, although not really washed up. He's just kind of on the ice, clearly injured. He is Oscar Isaac. He is Victor Frankenstein. The boat is then attacked by Frankenstein's monster, played by Jacob Elordi. They shoot at the monster. They do everything they can to kill the monster. He does not die. Eventually, they're able to trap him under the ice, and Captain Anderson kind of houses Victor Frankenstein. Victor knows that the monster wants him and will kill whoever he needs to get at him, and then Victor resolves to tell Captain Anderson a fun little story about his backstory.
Yeah.
And that's also the framing of the book. We'll talk a little bit more what changes they ended up making. The monster in the book does not show up to Captain Robert Walton's ship until the very end of the book, literally the very end of the book. So that's a little bit of a change there, but nothing too serious, and also that scene's pretty good. It's a really fun scene to watch.
Yeah, I would say so.
So then we get into Chapter 1. This is told in chapters, similarly to Begonia. It's told in 2 chapters, specifically, Victor's story and the monster's story, so that's how I have it split up as well. We start with Victor and his parents. His father is a very well-renowned surgeon. He wants Victor to be the same. Victor's mother is pregnant and put upon, and she eventually gives birth to Victor's brother, William Frankenstein, and she dies in childbirth. In the book, she survives and later dies of scarlet fever. Frankenstein then resolves to be one of the best surgeons in the world. He goes to a university. I don't think the university's ever named.
No, it's not.
No.
In the book, it's Ingolstadt. That's what's
Sorry, that's a funny name. It's a funny name. It
called.
sounds like a doctor's last name that you'd be like, oh, look at this guy.
Yeah, that's why he goes to a medical school. Like, it's probably named after something.
Dr. Schnitzelberg. What was it?
Ingolstadt.
The same thing.
Not the same thing.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
What'd you say, Snickelberg?
I don't even remember. Schnitzelberg. Yeah. Oh.
Doofenshmirtz.
Doofenshmirtz.
So Victor Frankenstein's experimenting with galvanism.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, galvanism is the idea you can use electricity to bring someone back to life, and he does. He kind of has like the front half of a human being that he hooks up to some nodes.
Yeah, great practical effects, I will say.
Yeah,
it was really effective.
A lot of this movie is practical. It's
yeah,
really
it's one of the beauties of Guillermo del Toro is that he's able to use practical effects to tell a story, and like that was like one of the first big ones alongside the production design. And it's just like I love how he was throwing a ball around, and you're like, that's a really bouncy apple.
I thought it was an apple.
It's a small apple. It's a ball.
Did they have bouncy balls back then?
I don't.
1885 or whenever this year was set, because it's different from the book, right?
Yeah, I believe the book is set in 1818. If the date's even mentioned,
let me see.
It's set in the modern day, and it was.
I think it was
1850
something.
1850 something in the movie.
In the movie, yeah.
But I don't know if
It's
Frankenstein's
later than
set that far in the future.
Let me see.
Yeah, go and check that. I'll keep talking.
Late 18th century.
Oh, so that's 1700s. That's even earlier.
Let me see.
So
it was written
So
in
it's
18.
contemporary to when Mary Shelley wrote it, right? Or is
that's the idea, is that the book is contemporary. The legend written about the book is that it was written over the course of one night, which, if true, suggests a little bit of like not revising that had to have been done for that to like exist. So yeah, I think the general assumption is that it takes place contemporarily with Mary Shelley's life. Essentially, we see Victor Frankenstein. He has a ball. He's throwing it around, and he gives life to this like upper half of a human that he's hooked up to these electricity. The upper half of the human is basically just gasping for breath. Frankenstein throws a ball at it. It catches it. Everyone's like, "Whoa, it's alive!" They don't actually say that. That's not from the book.
Yeah,
it's from the movie.
They never say that.
No, they never say
No,
that.
they
never
don't.
say it in
Yeah.
the book either.
It's a Boris Karloff movie thing.
Yeah, it's a very famous line. In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God. But he doesn't say that. That's not real.
Yeah.
A guy named Heinrich Harlander, played by Christoph Waltz,
Great actor.
takes notice of these galvanism experiments and meets up with Victor, where he decides to give Victor infinite funding and infinite resources in order to pursue these galvanism experiments, with the eventual purpose of creating or nixing death, essentially, to be able to put someone's brain into another body and then give it life through galvanism. In the meantime, Elizabeth, who is Heinrich Harlander's niece, is marrying a grown-up version of William Frankenstein. Elizabeth is also played by Mia Goth. I don't know why they had Mia Goth play both roles.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the first time, like when she played the mom. Like, I guess they do enough makeup work on her. That's not really as
They
obvious.
have like the veil over her face and everything.
Yeah,
She's
I didn't.
not like shown.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah. Like they make it clear that it's just like you couldn't really, unless you like pinpoint it, you can't really tell that's played by the same person.
Mia Goth has a little bit of a history playing characters of two wildly different ages. Maxine and Pearl in X is probably the most striking example.
Yeah.
Supposedly that movie came around because Ty West really, really liked the idea of putting Mia Goth in old person makeup.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts about that movie. This is not the time nor the place. I want to focus on the grown-up William Frankenstein, played by Felix Kammerer. This is one of the first big changes from the book.
Yeah, and also I think we do want to preface this. All three of us have read the book.
Yes,
I feel
we've
like-
all read the book at varying times. I read it, I think, the most recently.
Yeah, I read it all the way back in like 4th grade.
Yeah, it was just crazy to me that you read Frankenstein in 4th grade.
On my own volition. Not even for a school thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing, because like school is not smart enough to assign those books. That's something that I
Yeah,
would
'cause I
sought out.
read Frankenstein just a couple months ago as of time of recording in my second semester of senior year, We didn't really get into too much. A lot of what this movie plays out, I was taught to me. So it was like we did skip around some of the more filler parts of the book.
I don't think I think it's all killer, no filler, but that's my opinion on the book.
Yeah.
I will say the book, there's a lot of things where Frankenstein's like, I was afflicted again. And part of that's because the modern Prometheus, right? That's what the book is called. It's called Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Prometheus is one of those people that's known for being trapped in a cycle. He's strapped to a rock, and Eagle comes pick out his liver every single day. Kind of similar to what Frankenstein does in the book. He has a good day, then he has a very long series of bad days, getting progressively worse until the end of the book. I can see some of that being kind of boring, but I think it's really cool. I really like that book.
I thought it was quite boring, but that's just me.
So William in the book does not grow up. William is only seriously introduced kind of after the monster is created. The monster is created. Victor doesn't tell us exactly how. It's kind of inspired by the rise of galvanism and research into galvanism around the time that Mary Shelley was writing the novel. But Victor doesn't tell us in the book specifically he was brought to life via electricity. The movie does. The movie tells us specifically he was shot by a bolt of lightning and he woke up. William in the book is killed as a child by the monster accidentally. William is afraid, or he fell into a stream on a walk, and the monster tries to pick him up and hug him and comfort him and ends up choking him out accidentally. I think it's a really interesting scene. Interesting that they decide to age up William. I have a couple thoughts on that. Essentially, we get a lot of interesting kind of sequences where Victor is going to battlefields and picking up parts and making sure that they're right and kind of stitching them together and getting naked in the tub and then coming out cheeks out because he thinks that he's made some sort of discovery.
Makes a discovery with cheeks out, naked, as he walks out of, or not walks out, he climbs out of a bathtub.
He climbs out of a bathtub and then walks around kind of hunched over, hand over his junk.
Yeah.
Not even. They just.
Not even. Not even doing that.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes where like very conveniently placed books hide the package from us, let's say.
It's like a Starship Troopers.
Yeah, how is it Starship Troopers?
It's a Starship Troopers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. Starship Troopers has an entire shower scene where we get people's butts covering people's penises. It's
lovely.
It's a funny movie.
Anyway. Very essential to the plot.
Oh, dude, that scene, really moves the plot forward, let's say. Anyway,
to shift back a little bit. Like
to kind of go back from Victor cheeks out.
Isn't it that he dug up from like actual grave sites in the book instead of like battlefields?
Yeah, or some, I don't know. I didn't really notice much of a difference.
So in the book, he makes the monster while still studying at Ingolstadt. That doesn't appear to be the case, and even if it did appear to be the case, like, it seems like Frankenstein has a more of a teacherly role at Ingolstadt in this movie. Frankenstein, I think, in the book is a lot younger than Frankenstein is in.
He's way older, I feel like, in this movie.
He just has less access to those sort of things. So yeah, he's going to grave sites and just digging up people's remains. In this movie, he takes a little bit more of a structured approach to it, but
yeah,
it turns out in a better looking monster, because if you create Jacob Elordi, you've done something.
that part is true.
So there's a storm brewing. It's coming along, as we discussed with the galvanism thing. His plan is to take this series of lightning rods and strike the electricity directly into the monster, thus bringing him to life.
He climbs up his gothic, very eerie, evil-looking...
Yeah, the evil Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated looking tower.
Yeah,
like the dark tower
on the edge of a cliff.
He has an evil tower on the edge of a cliff with a large hole in the middle.
It's very Guillermo del Toro-y.
Yeah, very Del Toro. And especially it reminded me of like the design of the Dark Tower from the Stephen King book.
Oh yeah. It's like
Sauron's
tower.
Dark tower.
Yeah, like the I forgot what it was called. I've never seen Lord of the Rings, but
the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, the Eye.
Yeah.
Isengard.
I guess I got that in the Tower of Orthanc mixed up.
Tower. Well, you know what? These are all just big, large towers.
Yeah, it's like more gothic Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
Are you in a Phineas and Ferb mood? What's going on with you?
Schnagel, Schnutzen, whatever he went to school. I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's just where mine went.
Yeah. So basically,
Doofenshmirtz climbs up the
Doofenshmirtz.
tower.
He invents the bring alive-inator.
Yeah, it's weird. So like he's setting up the tower, and then like a platypus, like a blue platypus, kind of interrupts him. But then he puts on a hat, so we know it's Perry.
A platypus plumber?
That was
Patty the
weird, but-
platypus plumber?
Why is he a plumber?
Patty, you never see that one episode of Phineas
No,
and
I've
Ferb?
never seen that one episode
Ever
of
seen
Phineas and
that
Ferb.
clip?
Never mind,
No,
never mind.
I'm not on social media.
Anyway, back to the silver rods.
Right, there's a
that
movie
the silver
happening
rods.
here. Victor Frankenstein's got pants on. He's setting up the silver rods
No
during
shirt,
the
just
storm. He's got a shirt too, but barely.
Yeah.
So he is setting up the lightning rods. Heinrich Harlander comes up to him, or doesn't come up to him. He's like peeing in a closet or something.
I think we
Peeing in a
joked about
closet?
the peeing part.
No, because there is a scene in which
Yeah, that was
Harlander.
before.
There's a scene in which Harlander uses a toilet.
In the
the
bathroom?
bathroom.
In the closet?
Well, okay.
Who goes to a closet and gets a toilet? He whipped out his Frankenstein's monster and then started pissing in a closet.
What has gotten into us? No, there's a scene earlier in the movie where Harlander pees in a toilet, talks about how the ivory of the toilet's really, really nice. He says it's like music to a man's stream. And then
Yeah, I
like,
was
oh,
like,
by the way,
what?
Frankenstein, can you flush that for me?
Baron.
I was like, that's like being in the Smith dorms at Elon. It's like walking to it's just there it is.
People here take the term "if it's yellow, let it mellow" a little too seriously.
Yeah. That's wild.
So basically, Harlander takes his wig off to reveal he's bald and dying of syphilis, and he wants his brain to be put into the monster
How do you get syphilis?
from sex. What?
No. I mean, like,
It's an STI.
no. I mean, like, his wife doesn't have it. So
Maybe she
as far as
does.
we
Maybe
know.
she's a carrier. Or maybe he's been sleeping with women of the night.
It's the 1800s. I mean, you can get all kinds of things.
Could cut his shovel on a rusty nail and got AIDS.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut his shovel on a rusty nail and got AIDS.
Wow.
I'm losing it.
We're not doctors, if you can't tell. But yeah, he gets syphilis, and it's basically this part where like Victor goes up to him, and he's like at a mirror, and he like takes and like his supposedly his wig is off, and you can see like his hair deteriorating because of that.
Yeah, he has syphilis. He knows his days are numbered. He wants his brain to be put in the monster. Victor says, no, absolutely not. And,
Honestly, valid reason.
I mean, valid in the sense of if your goal is to make a human and then bring it to life via lightning, yeah, I guess it would kind of make sense. His idea is that even his brain has been infected with the syphilis.
Yeah.
the syphilis.
Because I was about to say you don't want the monster to have syphilis.
I mean,
Yeah, God
he's
forbid.
He's already bald.
Well, there's tons of people that are bald.
Yeah, and there's tons of people that have syphilis. It's, basically,
Are we cutting this part out?
it's all in. This is a very chill episode of the weekly spoiler review because we have a second episode coming out this week.
Yeah,
Chill,
yeah, that's true,
That's
that's
one
true.
word for it.
Yeah.
Unhinged is
So
another
yeah,
word.
they basically they have like the little debacle on the roof
They have it's a fight.
or the fight or
They have a
Snafu.
fight.
debauch.
Yeah, a snafu.
Yeah, snafu.
Heinrich is holding one of the rods and eventually falls down the conveniently placed hole in the floor.
With
Yeah,
no
because he tries to.
railings.
Yeah, with
No
no
railings.
railings. Yeah, all OSHA violations are not in place there.
So he drops the lightning rod, damaging it, and then falls to his doom. Victor ends up.
Conveniently, like 30 feet away from the monster,
I mean,
I guess.
the room's not that big.
Yeah, I mean the hole wasn't that. I mean the hole's big, but like
I mean,
there's only
however
certain
long
places he could fall.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up setting the lightning rods anyway, even though they're kind of busted, and he doesn't think that the monster is alive, so he goes to bed. The monster is alive, though.
Stands by his bed.
Stands
Yeah.
by his bed. This is a scene from the book. He's kind of scared of it. He's more immediately scared of it in the book, and in this movie he spends a little bit of time being like kind of parentally attached to it, but he ends up locking it in the basement all the same.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, that's not really what happens in the book.
He just runs away, doesn't he?
Yeah, the movie kind of streamlines what happens with the monster, because in the book he runs away and then meets his friend Henry, who's not a character in this movie, and then goes back, and then the monster's gone, and he has to go back to his family where William dies, and then the caretaker is framed and she dies, and it's like there's a lot of things happening. This movie is very create the monster runs away, monster has story where it's linear. It's very linear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor is definitely more of a not a nice guy to the
Yeah,
monster
definitely
in
not a
this.
nice guy.
He's outright abusive, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, because
Um,
because he thinks that like with the creation of the monster that it's like Master's intelligence, but the way that he's treating it, it's like the monster only says one word: Victor, Victor, Victor,
He
Victor.
really wants it to say anything.
Anything
Anything else,
other
like
than
anything
Victor.
else, and do anything else, and as a result, he chains it up in the basement. And even he's like, "Can you put your leg forward?" and smacks his leg, and does like
Right.
the others.
Yeah, and there's a scene where he's like, I'm not going to hurt you. I made you. And then like 2 scenes later, he's like stabbing it with a red hot poker. So it's
Yeah.
like-
So yeah, very much playing into the idea, I guess, of the book that like the human, I guess Victor himself is the monster.
Right. And that's said in dialogue later on. So Elizabeth and William come forth to the castle. Victor's been kind of having an affair with Elizabeth this whole time. I got because Elizabeth and William are engaged, but then Victor's like dancing with Elizabeth.
Yeah, he was getting a little too into
kinda
it. I was like,
kissing with her and kind of necking and stuff. And I don't know if they outright have sex, but
yeah, in the movie, they don't.
Well, I mean, he didn't get syphilis, so
Yeah, he didn't get syphilis, so
we
obviously
can rule
not.
that out.
No syphilis.
yeah, let's figure out who in this movie has syphilis. Well, the thing is, in the book, there's no need for an affair because Elizabeth and William never get engaged because William doesn't live past the age of 6. And Elizabeth and Victor are also step siblings, and then they also get married. So,
Yikes.
yeah, it's interesting. It's weird. There's no syphilis in the book either, as far as I remember. Elizabeth, through kindness, teaches the monster to say her name, which is it's a lot more advanced.
It's 3 syllables this time.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's not an easy word to say. It's got like a Z in there, like a TH. Like
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's the scene where like Elizabeth introduces herself to the monster, and he keeps saying Victor, and then she says her name Elizabeth, and then she walks away. He says Elizabeth, and Victor's like, all you say is Victor, and then walks out, and then the monster looks at him and says Elizabeth.
And
Right.
he's still not happy, which
He can say
Like-
2 words. He can't say water. He can't say
sun,
sun. Yeah,
So
earth, fire.
fire bad.
that's another thing from the movie.
Yeah.
Victor convinces William and Elizabeth to leave by showing William the corpse of Heinrich Harlander. He says that the monster did it, but he's lying. It was him,
Yeah.
and partially the syphilis.
In a way.
And so they leave. Victor blows up the place. The monster escapes from the place, but the blast kind of breaks Victor's leg, which is where he gets the prosthetic from. And then
Yeah, when you say break,
Yeah.
you mean like it tears off.
Like, yeah, his leg's gone.
Oh,
Like, that
really?
leg is gone.
Can we also talk about like the 1,600 jugs of gasoline that he's just
Yeah.
acquired?
I know that
I know he didn't get it from Walmart. or
Harlander said
Home Depot. Sorry, not Walmart.
Harlander
Yeah,
said
Walmart didn't exist back then.
Yeah, that's true. Home Depot.
Harlander said that he would have infinite money and infinite resources. And I want to be a fly on the wall for the conversation where Victor says, I need these lightning rods, I need these workbenches,
You need to
and
go
I
to creative mode.
Or it's
I
like, yeah,
also
I
need-
need a lab.
I need
guess was more.
14,000 jugs of
I
gasoline.
missed that part.
Might have missed that part. But yeah, because at that point, after he breaks his leg, then it cuts back to the boat where he's in bed, and
With
the monster
Captain
walks
Chris.
into the room, and like goes up to the captain.
This time with long, luscious locks of.
Yeah,
black
long.
hair.
Yeah, this time the monster does have hair,
Yeah,
and
it grew.
yeah, and then he basically goes up to the captain and says, "He told you his story. Now I will tell you mine." Cue in
Right.
chapter 2. The rest of the movie, I guess, being told from the monster's perspective.
Right. And Guillermo del Toro clearly has most of his points to say about the monster, because I would argue this is the majority of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
this scene.
Del Toro has such an eye for creatures and monsters, and so obviously when he's given Frankenstein, that's obviously I think the most interesting aspect to him.
And from what I can remember, I think the monster story is more akin to the book than Victor's story is.
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Mostly because Victor's story in the book, they cut out a lot of things.
Yeah, they also changed a
add
lot of
stuff.
the aging stuff I was fine with, but I feel like there's a lot there's a whole character that's cut out, and
Yeah, Victor in the book kind of goes to Ingolstadt, creates the monster in like 3 pages, and then the rest of his story is him going back and forth and being in utter misery to being like kind of neat, like kind of happy, and then utter misery because the monster keeps coming back and killing people and doing all this sorts of stuff. The fact that it's the entirety of
All
Victor's story
shenanigans.
in this movie is just that little bit where he's creating the monster. Yeah, the monster story is a little bit more accurate to the book. The specific monster story that Guillermo del Toro decided to adapt is the scene with the cottagers, which is not a scene I see commonly adapted, I don't think.
Yeah, but it's one like to me, like even as someone who read the book, that scene was that part of his story
Yeah.
I thought was really
Oh,
compelling.
it's the best part of the book for sure.
yeah,
That's the one I most remember.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
It's
I
great.
guess I think same with me now that I think about it.
So yeah,
Or even
he's-
watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is the part where he goes to the cottage,
Right.
and you're like, yeah,
I guess before that, we can talk about how he goes into the forest and he gets tuned in with nature.
yeah. He goes up to a
Attuned
deer.
with nature.
He tries to connect with the deer,
Yeah.
and then these hunters shoot the deer. Rest in peace, Bambi's mom.
Right. He follows the hunters home to the cottage where he hides in a sawmill thing, like an abandoned
I think it's
mill.
like just a grain mill.
Grain
Yeah,
mill.
I agree. I mean, they were
yeah.
like I think with
Bunch of
farmers,
rats.
they got like a
Sheep.
like like a pen. of sheep
Yeah,
with-
in the book, he's kind of just hiding in a back room that's kind of full of hay.
Yeah.
And he's
I mean, it's not
hiding in
too
the
far. I mean,
hay.
it's not too far off. I mean, it's on a farm. So
It's a lot more spacious than I pictured it. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
And it's some sort of like Norse Scandinavian family,
Yeah.
like from all the
Well, so in the book, they're
the
like
aesthetics.
they're like fugitives in the book. They were like really well respected, and then there was a treasonous scandal, and then they kind of are in hiding, which is an interesting plot. He's kind of like learning English and seeing the humanity and learning kind of to be human. Not that speaking English and humanity are connected, but just these are the things he happens to learn through these like criminals. Interesting part of the book. So in the movie doesn't adapt that part. We really don't know anything about these people, about these criminals.
They're just a humble farming family,
Yeah.
Exactly.
3 generations.
yeah. At least
Right.
that's what makes it out to be.
We've got an old blind man, two like a younger couple, and then a young girl. And the girl's learning to read. So the monster sits down those reading lessons. He also learns to read. He becomes the spirit of the forest. Essentially, they do kindnesses to him. He does kindnesses to them. He builds a pen in the middle of the night, and like now they have a new pen for their sheep. He fetches firewood for them, and then in turn they leave out food. He eats the food. It's a nice symbiotic relationship without the cottagers really knowing that it's a symbiotic relationship or who the symbiosis is with. Wolves attack, that sets something up, and the younger group, the couple and the young girl, have to kind of set out on a quest. And that leaves the old blind man alone, which allows the monster to come in and speak with the old man. Now, that speaking with the old man is far more elongated than it is in the book. In the book, it's one scene where he essentially has a conversation, then the cottagers come back and just kind of assume that the monster is like killing the guy.
Yeah, which they do. I mean, there is a different version of that. One of my favorite scenes in this movie actually is of that, where he's like talking about the reason why why he exists and where he came
Right.
from. I thought that was really compelling, and the fact that like the blind man gave him books and like there's a bunch of other things in there that I was just like I thought they were poor. Like even though it was shorter, I thought it was really nice.
Also, like the part when he opens the Bible and in the middle of the book, you can clearly see like the thickness of the paper. He opens in the middle of the book and it's Genesis.
It's a Genesis
Yeah,
chapter
Genesis.
1. It's like it must have just had a really, really long introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the entire Bible, and he opens up the middle of it, and it's like, in the beginning. I think it's actually the story of Adam and Eve, which is a little further in, but not that much further.
Yeah.
But yeah, he learns to read all
Yeah.
of these like classics,
Yeah,
or I guess literary greats that the old man has.
I do think it's funny that the two stories that he outright learns, aside from children books, are the story of Adam and Eve and then Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so he knows one story.
And I think it's kind of interesting, like how they relate back to his story, because Adam
Yeah, in
and
a
Eve,
sense, yeah.
created by God, or it goes along with a theme from the book, I'd say, or partly in the movie where Adam gets lonely and he has a need for a companion, and that scene is explored a little bit in Frankenstein, not to go too far into the movie, but there's a parallel there that's explored in the book a lot more than it is here.
It certainly is, yeah. And we'll discuss the bride of Frankenstein does briefly get mentioned in this movie, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Essentially, the monster admits he only knows one word. That word is Victor. The man says, "Find where that word takes you." He goes back to the tower that has now been ruined, and then he comes back to the old man, where the old man's being attacked by wolves. The monster kills the wolves. The monster now knows who he is, but because the old man's covered in the blood of the wolves, and also partially his own blood that the wolves brought out of him, the cottagers happen to come back at that time. They assume the monster is killing him. The monster flees, gets shot, buried under the snow, and then he wakes up eventually to go and find Victor yet again. He finds Victor during the wedding of Elizabeth and William, and he demands the bride. We're back to the bride. Welcome to the bride.
Yeah.
In the book, the bride is it's a bigger part of it. It's essentially Frankenstein creates the bride, destroys the bride right in front of the monster, and then that kind of sets the monster off on one of the first intentional killing sprees, I think he kills Henry Clerval at that point, but because Henry is not a character in this movie, he can't. There's no one else to kill. Essentially, the monster comes in. Elizabeth finds the monster, shields the monster. Victor shoots Elizabeth trying to shoot the monster, but not clear that he was super trying to shoot the monster. He kind of knew he was shooting Elizabeth. And then the monster kind of throws William against a pillar.
And a mirror, and another mirror.
And a
There's
mirror,
lot
and
of
a
mirrors in
desk.
this
Yeah,
room.
I do like when the monster does find Victor. I thought that scene was like, you can come out now, and then he just like emerges from the shadows as that kind of thing. Like the two of them have a little rapport where it's like the monster is more intelligent, more developed than Victor had seemed. Where it's like he says a line that was just like right when I was getting my sanity back or something. To where it's like when you destroy what you've created that you think is a disaster, you have that sense in mind. It's just like I got rid of it, and then in that scene, he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't get rid of it.
Yeah, and this is where William specifically says, "Oh, Frankenstein, you're the monster, not the monster you created."
Yeah, it's very, very, very important, especially
very
thematics.
directly.
Which I will say
stated.
that it does line up, like in terms of like thematics. I think it does line up with the book, to where it's like the main objective of Victor being the monster instead of the monster himself.
Right.
Like that part, I was like, yeah, it works. Very compelling.
Probably didn't need to say it out loud, but if you want to.
So eventually we get to the point where Victor is hunting the monster, and then they fight in the Arctic. Victor lights a piece of dynamite to try to like kill the monster. The monster holds it, and he's like, "All right, let's see if I die." And in the meantime, you should run.
Yeah, yeah, that was Aura. He was like, "Hold it. You should probably
Hold it
run."
like a candlestick right in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't die. He survives that. And that brings us up to the present, where we have the monster and Victor kind of in a standoff. Victor.
Well, I mean, Victor's not standing, but
He's kind of lying.
He's
down.
lying. At least that's when the crew of the ship find or at least find Victor, and then that's when the monster comes, and then flash forward to where the movie is now, to where it's like both the stories have been told. Now it's set in the present, where the two of them are kind of having a back and forth.
Right. And Victor finally calls the monster son. The monster forgives Victor for what he's done. Victor dies. The monster dislodges the boat from the ice. The boat decides to go home instead of going up to the North Pole. And the monster kind of walks into the sunset, all cool like.
Yeah, very good shot. Very good
Oppenheimer-y
shot.
shot. And
Yeah,
then,
credits roll.
And credits roll, and that's the end of the movie.
So now that the credits have rolled, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I guess the movie as a whole. So, I guess, Jen, if you want to start, do you want me to?
I have some more vocal thoughts about this movie.
Yeah, even talking about it now, my thoughts have not changed.
I liked it. I did not love it. I think that the things it chooses to cut out from the book do not make sense. I truly do not understand why some of the scenes were cut out. William being aged up is one of, I don't want to say one of the worst decisions, but definitely a very poor one. I think Guillermo del Toro is trying to say a lot about the monster, but the only interesting things that he's saying are about Victor, and he cuts out so much of Victor's like story, and I just think some parts of it don't make a lot of sense. Does anyone else want to discuss?
That's just
a
Guillermo del Toro thing.
I think so
like
too.
Like you said, how he focuses so much on the monsters themselves.
Yeah.
And it develops them a lot more than he does the humans. So I think it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I
from
think so
his
too.
Perspective.
Because I really didn't take much of an issue with that. I will say this though. I guess my thoughts overall on the movie itself kind of tie into this. when reading the book, maybe it's just the way I was taught, but I enjoyed parts of that book. The whole journey of that book, I didn't find it particularly compelling, at least for me. And so watching this movie and watching what Del Toro's take on such a classic story, such a classic monster would be like, Del Toro always has such an eye for creatures and creature designs. And
Yeah, we didn't even talk about like the Dark Angel scenes.
yeah, the
when
Dark
he has
Angel
dreams
scenes,
of
yeah.
his guardian angel.
yeah, like very, very Del Toro thing to do. Production design's incredible. Visuals are incredible.
Makeup.
And there's a lot in this movie that I think is actually quite compelling. And, maybe it's because I'm not super well versed in the book, but a lot of the changes I didn't really mind too much. My only real thing is that I felt he only chose the parts that he was interested in. And I feel like because of that, he feels like the story as a whole, he's like rushing through certain beats to get to others, where some of it's not really explored as well as maybe it could have. And I feel like part of that is just like most of the changes were fine to me. Some of the other ones, I feel like some of it could have been developed out a little bit further. And I guess like the movie's runtime is 2.5 hours long, and us recapping it, it seemed like the movie was a lot shorter. It's just
True.
a lot of scenes just fly
Drag
through.
on.
Some are very compelling. A lot of them technically do work on a story level, but it just felt like he took parts from the book and tried to mandate it into a 2.5 hour runtime, at least for me.
Yeah, I thought it was too long. It should have been even less than 2 hours for what it was telling. Like even cutting out the Bride of Frankenstein part. That
Yeah, like that part felt rushed.
Yeah.
Like it felt like there's a lot there, but it felt like it was something that it felt like he made a list of all the most compelling parts of the book to him.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, check this off, check this off, check this off, check this off. I don't want this. Credits roll. So it's like, for me, it worked. I thought it was a good story, but I could totally understand why somebody, I mean, Jesse probably being one of them, is just like someone who's very well versed in the book would be disappointed by a lot of the changes, but for me, it just didn't bother me as much.
Yeah, I see it more. I guess I like it on a level because it's Del Toro and not
Yeah.
exactly that it's Frankenstein. Because like again, the last time I read Frankenstein was in 4th grade when I was a little boy and I got scared of it. And
Yeah.
you know,
'Cause,
seeing it now, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot more than.
Yeah, I did as well. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, like Del Toro is a filmmaker that I really enjoy his work, especially how he handles creatures and creature designs. Which I will say, the design of Frankenstein was another thing, was really well done.
The monster, that is.
Yeah, the monster. Yeah, sorry, I know there's a distinction there, but I think that stuff was great. When this movie was first announced and Del Toro was the one handling it, like for me, I was like, yeah, if anyone can do it, it's him.
Yeah.
Now that the movie's released, I see that maybe not everybody agrees with that, but for me, as someone who's a fan of Del Toro, as fans of parts of the book, this was a version that worked well enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come off as a negative Nancy for saying this stuff. I just want to preface this by saying that I agree with the points about Guillermo del Toro being good for the material. It fits his style perfectly, and I do think that the monster and like the effects, and it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think on a thematic level, it does not strike. It does not hit. Saying that it's a Guillermo del Toro thing to kind of focus on the lavishness of the set decoration, it just suggests to me that Guillermo del Toro doesn't understand what's interesting about his movie.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, carry on.
I think so. We get a lot of talk that Frankenstein Victor is not doing so well, not doing so hot, and also a monster. Frankenstein, the book, the modern Prometheus, does an amazing job of showing us that, because Victor is constantly unwell, and he's also constantly in a refusal to admit what he's done. He's in a refusal to acknowledge the monster. He wants the monster to just go away and stop affecting his life in any way. What we get of Victor in this movie is him at his peak. It even says in the book that the happiest he has ever been was in the fervor of work that he was doing to create the monster. And that's all we get of Victor. There's a scene when we get to the wedding of William and Elizabeth where Victor says that he's been unwell. And it's like, the book had so many scenes for you to adapt that showed that. Instead, we decided to dedicate that time to focusing on a retelling of of a frankly not too interesting retelling of the cottagers' story, because the movie is so focused on the mechanics of how the monster learned English. It's like, this is how he learned English. This is how he knows what he did. And these are the stories that he knows. And it's like, there's parallels there in the stories themselves, but that's not what's focused on in the scene.
Yeah. Again, it goes exactly to my other point. It feels like he's rushing through certain beats where it's like, I have to hit this beat, and then cut out some of the more detailed aspects.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's not even the detail that's the problem for me. It's the fact that we're not getting a thematic experience, and when we are, it's about a character that we don't focus on for most of the movie, and all of the character moments from the book are completely stripped away. Like, they're gone from Victor's story. Anything that suggested that he was the monster or anything that suggested he wasn't doing well is removed. All we get is that scene of Victor torturing the monster, being abusive to him for about 10 minutes, and then blowing up the lab, and then he's gone from the story, and he comes back a little bit later. And the movie is trying to say so many of the same things as the book. You could have allotted your time and which scenes you adapt so much better. And there are things you didn't have to focus on. The movie's not called The Modern Prometheus. You didn't have to focus on that cyclical nature. You could have adapted a single scene where Frankenstein is sickly. You could still not even have the character of Henry Clerval if, he's not necessary for building character for Victor in the way that this movie tries to. It's baffling to me why those scenes would have been cut out of the movie.
Yeah, I'd say I kind of disagree with you.
Yeah,
there
I do.
On how
I do as well.
On how they handle Victor
Yeah.
being unwell, because I think you see that most in the boat scenes, and I think for me personally, that's enough for me. Because, he's coughing up blood, and he has his paralyzed leg and everything.
Yeah, where he's found in the ice. I mean, he blew up a building, and
I think there's a bit of subtlety there that's good to appreciate, in my opinion, where this is more a movie, in my opinion, of Frankenstein's monster. This isn't Frankenstein, the movie. This is Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, in a sense.
Again, Del Toro and his focus is on not even just the aesthetics of the movie relating to the monster, but more his story and his growth. And I kind of see it less the cottage scene specifically, less than the mechanics of how he got to learn English. I think that's a little simplistic of a interpretation. I see it more,
there's some good dialogue in there.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
Deeper as how he connects with people and how he got to develop as a character, and you see that in its most raw form.
Yeah, and I guess for me, it worked well enough for me to where it's just like a lot of that stuff from the book. I'm not saying this was like the perfect adaptation, but it's one that's just like every single scene you can see what Del Toro's interested in. Like you can see like what his main objective is, and it feels like he's doing his own version of the novel as opposed to directly translating the novel. I'm not saying that this movie will sway one way or the other because of how accurate the book is. I know Jesse, that's not obviously not what you think of the book, not what you think of the movie, but it's one for me that I feel like if you're gonna adapt this story in a way like as an adaptation of the book, at least for somebody who is a somewhat casual fan of it, or at least parts of it, it worked well enough for me. But I could certainly see those who were like, there's stuff missing.
Yeah, that being said, going along with the theme of the focus on the monster, I would have liked to see the more focus on the Bride of Frankenstein rather than just Elizabeth.
Yes.
I agree.
And her shenanigans. Like, if you're going to focus less on the human side, be more consistent. Be more consistent about it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree.
The two biggest monster characterization moments in the book are the scene where the monster kills William as a kid and the scene right after the destruction. Well, I mean, both the scene where he asks for the bride and the scene after the bride is destroyed, where he killed Henry Clerval. Those are the two most monster-focused scenes, aside from the cottager scene, obviously, the most monster-focused scenes in the book. Neither of them are present in the movie, and I do not understand why. If you're going to focus on the monster, why would you only focus on this one scene? And I know you said that you don't find that it's much about the mechanics. I find that it's almost entirely about the mechanics. I think there's some scenes of good connection. I think I much prefer in the book how the cottagers react to Frankenstein just because he looks weird and that's why they assume that he's killing him, as opposed to there being like blood all over him. It's like the way that the monster interacts with the world is shaped by like people like that. I don't think that we got a very good look at that in the movie through the cottager scene. And
I think on the other hand, you do kind of see that in his first interaction with the hunters, because like
Yeah,
you
in
know
a
he
sense.
looks weird when he's feeding after he fed the deer and they shot the deer.
right, that's the one
Yeah.
thing. That's
So it's like they describe him as like, oh, I've never seen anything like it.
But
And
yeah,
it's
they
like, it's
totally
obviously-
could have expanded that in the cottage scene. I
Yeah,
agree with you.
which is
there.
like a lot of it just feels like the watered down version of it.
And that's the thing. I would like to agree with you on the point that with every scene you can tell what Guillermo del Toro is interested in.
Yeah.
My problem is that I feel like a lot of what he's interested in is the mechanics of how the story works, not really trying to say something grand about Victor or the monster's role in the story, but just rather how did he bring the monster to life? What are the devices that he used? There's a lot of shots of his papers and of the lightning rods and of the machines that he uses, and how did the monster learn English?
And
Like
him running
Yeah, him
around
running
in the nude.
Yeah. Yeah, the bathtub. Very essential to the plot.
it's like Saltburn.
But yeah, I think that's a totally fair assessment on the mechanics. I
Yeah.
just think
Yeah, it's definitely a fair assessment.
I see the deeper aspects in the cottage scene than you do, but
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
for me, like, it served me enough, I guess.
Fair.
I guess it was one that's just like, maybe it's just I didn't get taught the full thing, but I didn't notice too much of it, where it was like, it worked well enough for me. I mean, could it have gone deeper? Could it have explored more? Absolutely. I feel like, again, back to my point of like, I feel like a lot of it was just rushed.
Yeah.
To where it's just like, if you had time, maybe even make this a 3 hours and you really go into that sort of thing.
yeah, which is kind of weird because you say I do agree with you that it was rushed in some parts, but that kind of conflicts with the fact that it is a 2 hour.
Yeah, this is
30
150 minutes. It is 10 minutes of credits, but it's 150 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's
somehow it's too long for me as a complete story, but like individually, the individual sequences do seem rushed.
And that's the thing. Frankenstein's a story that you can tell as quickly or as slowly as you want. The Book of Frankenstein is a very complex and layered like story.
Yeah.
You could take that into 3-hour movies and explore every little bit of it, and I would say that works. You can also explain it in 5 seconds. Guy creates a monster, monster kills people, guy's remorseful. That was 5 seconds. That's the plot of the book.
Yeah.
RoboCop is a Frankenstein story in 90 minutes. You don't need more than 2.5 hours to sell a thoughtful Frankenstein remake. It's just so many of the plot points feel so rushed because Guillermo del Toro is focusing on things that do not matter.
He's focusing on a lot of things at
Yeah.
once.
I
think
feel
that's
like he's
a
like
more
he
accurate-
took his favorite parts of the book and then tried to adapt that into a 2.5 hour runtime as best he could.
and he had a lot of favorite parts.
Yeah, and even in interviews with him, it's just like he kept saying how much he loved the source material, and it's in a sense you watch the movie, it's like he loved this part, he loved this part, he loved this part, he loved this exploration. Like the overall theme of the book, I think, is there. Like you could tell he's passionate for it, but it just feels like at times it's like oh, he had an idea of his head. I want to adapt this scene. I want to adapt this part. I want to adapt this, put this, change this, and it's just
Which,
like
to be fair, is a lot like how I think.
yeah,
about
same. I
making
guess same with
movies.
me. Like even when I think of the book, it's just like I think about like oh, like this was compelling, skip this.
For me, it's like build a narrative. Build a narrative around your story.
A narrative.
Yeah, a narrative.
See, I don't even agree that there's a lot going on in this movie. I feel like we're just spending a lot of time doing a whole lot of nothing. Like, yes, we have a 2.5 hour runtime, and we're skipping through things like The Bride and Henry Clerval and just these plot points, but we're spending 30 minutes on scenes of Frankenstein building these machines that aren't in the book and don't serve to further your narrative or further your themes. I don't see why you're spending so much time on that when you're going to address things that are in the book that further your point and further your narrative that you're just not going to do. I felt like his attention was misplaced, and I didn't feel like we were doing a lot because I felt like if we were doing a lot, I would have liked this movie a lot more.
Yeah,
It's fair.
yeah, definitely.
So, are we ready to give our ratings?
I think so.
I suppose. I'll go first. It's a low 4. I think that his attention is misplaced and the narrative and the themes don't really work with what he's adapting. Not that they don't work, but that the parts he's adapting don't further the narrative he's trying to sell about the book, which is a very similar narrative that the book itself sells.
Out
Yeah.
of 5.
Out of 5, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad, though. Like, it's a good movie. It's entertaining. It's beautiful. It's a lot of things that if this is your first, like, Frankenstein in the traditional sense, not RoboCop, it's good. Like, this or the James Whale. Like, if you want a more pop culture sense of what Frankenstein is, the James Whale. But, like, if you're looking for the story of Frankenstein, this is that. And it's a really, really good adaptation. I just feel like it misses on a lot of things that the book really hit on, and it's a little disappointing because they had the opportunity to hit on those things, and I feel like they didn't take it.
Yeah. I guess for me, I would give this one a high 4 out of 5. I quite enjoyed this one. I'm a big fan of Del Toro's work. I guess even performances-wise, the big standout for me was actually Jacob Elordi, which was really surprising because he was recast 9 weeks before they started production. Originally, Andrew Garfield was supposed to play the monster, but he had to drop out due to another role that he was doing. I don't know off the top of my head what it was.
When did they film?
I think it was over a year ago.
Oh,
if
so
not
like
more.
23?
Or 20. I don't know. I think it was 23 or 24. I think it was last year, but I'm not sure.
Might have been filming for After the Hunt at that point.
Maybe. But either way, it was I thought Jacob Elordi did great. I love the makeup design for the character Frankenstein. Like of course, like production design, VFX, like practical work. I think was just exceptional from Del Toro. Not a perfect movie. I mean, we've talked about it before. There's some gripes I do have with it that I mentioned, but overall, I think it's a really solid adaptation. And as someone who's a casual fan of the novel, at least parts of the novel, I think this movie worked pretty well for me.
I checked. The roles that he had to leave for were either We Live in Time or After the Hunt, depending on when they filmed.
Maybe it was After the Hunt.
We Live in Time came out last year, so if they shot in 2023, probably that one.
Oh, because I think they shot it last year, if not, or maybe further. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. So I'd say I give it a low to mid 4. Not exactly in the middle of you guys, but closer to a 4.2. I'd say a 4.3 definitively out of 5.
Same rating as Begonia.
Yeah. I mean, for the same reasons. It's artistically, aesthetically a beautiful movie. Such a good watch for that reason. I really liked how Del Toro explored the monster rather than Victor, and I wanted him to do that more if he's going to go with the adaptation the way he adapted it, like not exactly like true to the story. I would have rather seen him do more the monster rather than focus on Victor and the monster, and I think that kind of conflicts the way he did it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the technical aspects were well done. It's really, really disappointing.
Yeah. For me, like
the way that they handled that adaptation.
Yeah, for me, like it met my expectations. I mean, as I was just going into it as Guillermo del Toro doing a Frankenstein movie. I didn't know until fairly recently that it was an adaptation of the novel.
Aren't all Frankenstein movies adaptations of the novel?
Or like a direct, I guess, like...
Oh, a direct adaptation.
Yeah, like a direct adaptation of the novel.
It's more of an interpretation than an adaptation.
Yeah, it's more of Guillermo del Toro's interpretation of a book he loves, not a adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah, I think that he had a lot of opportunities to do the thing that he was trying to do to begin with, and then missed them.
Yeah.
But I still like the movie. I think technically brilliant, absolutely beautiful. If this gets some Academy Award nominations for technical stuff, maybe even an acting award for Jacob Elordi, I'll be rooting for it for sure.
Yeah, I will as well.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I have issues with it, as we discussed.
Yeah.
Suppose we should wrap up.
Yeah,
Should
I think
we
that's
do
it. Yeah.
Letterboxd plugs.
Exciting.
I am Threnv, that is THRNV on Letterboxd. I have put up a review of Frankenstein. I don't know when this is coming out, so I don't know what other reviews I've had, but at some point I am going to do a review for John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. So if you want to look at that, look at it.
Yeah, my Letterboxd plug, MJ Spiegel, all lowercase. I've been a little bit on a hiatus on Letterboxd just because October of this year wasn't the best in terms of box office. But, with this movie and maybe whatever our next episode, you'll definitely find some reviews. I'm trying to get back into it, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully by the time this goes out, my review for Frankenstein will be up, so go check that out.
And you said something about a comment. by Shirla
Sorella.
Bear. Sorella Bear. Thank you. 6142 who said, also, Logan, get a Letterboxd account. Smiling face emoji.
Well,
And,
we all know what that means.
I will stay true to your word when I feel like it, but it is now on my mind, and by the next episode, I will plug my Letterboxd.
Or the last episode, depending on when this comes out.
Whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is a weird one because we have 2 movies that we're reviewing this week. So whether this comes out this week or next, we shall see.
I mean, that's, yeah.
But until then, roll credits.